Okay, so I know George is not attending. I'll go ahead and call the meeting to order at 3:06. Since I'm on my phone, I don't know if I can swap back and forth to see the agenda. Paula, would you mind going through the agenda so that I don't
Yes, I
have
would love
to?
to. So the
Thank
next
you.
section is public comments.
Are there any public people here?
Nope, not yet.
Okay. Does anybody have any comments? You guys are the public as well.
I'm excited to present about Astellas.
Um,
Public comments.
what was that?
There are no public comments.
Okay, so we can move on from that.
And the next item on the agenda is the Acellus presentation, and I'll just give you a preview. Following that is an attendance recovery update and instructional continuity plan update. And then those are the items on our agenda for today.
Awesome.
All right, so I can get started. Sweet. Alexa, let everyone knows, yeah. And we're going to be talking about utilizing Acellus Gold. So last year, of course, we started Acellus thanks to your suggestion, Brianna. Like, it was amazing. And it's been really cool to see the program growth over the years. So we're going to kind of go over a history of 4 programs. So can you go to the next slide, please? And one more after that. In our district, we utilize Acellus in 4 different ways. So when I talk about it, I want to give some background knowledge. So we have credit recovery, which is only at our high school. And that, of course, is for targeted courses that students need to recover credits from, or if they need to improve a grade that's a D or lower, right? Schedule conflicts. So this is for students who, of course, have, since we're a small school, not every single student is going to be able to be enrolled in all of the courses in person. So we utilize Mr. Gaforian as a space for them to be able to take that course on Acellus. And we also have just different.
Do you want me to give an example of that?
Yes, please.
So, for example, if we have a student that's interested in taking AP US history and AP physics, and they're offered in the same period, we want to make sure that we're not limiting their ability to take advanced level coursework or different opportunities. So we provide one of those options online in a different period.
Yeah. And I think some people sometimes confuse this with wanting to take something online in person instead of, in a classroom with a teacher. We do not offer that. We just allow schedule conflicts in the library. So if they have it available in their schedule, we always have it scheduled with a teacher in person. If not, then we utilize Acellus for that in-person portion. So that is in person, how we utilize Acellus. And then 2 other programs we offer are blended learning, where our students, of course, would have me as a teacher, and they're taking those Acellus courses at home. And they're also taking at least 2 Acellus courses at home. The rest of them are being taken in person at Vasquez. A lot of students like to do, our electives in person, whether that's culinary or construction. A lot of our CTE stuff they like to do in person, or they get to mix it however they want. So those are usually at the beginning of the day or the end of the day, or both. And then finally is Virtual Academy, which is our homeschool program, and that's also done at home. Next slide, please. Do you want to talk about the CTE pathways?
So this is just the information that we went over on the CTE information from the last session, where we talked about the different pathways that are now available to our students with the expansion into Acellus. So we have 8 additional CTE approved pathways just from the virtual program alone to add on to our 8 on-campus ones.
And you've talked about so fun. Love it. Very excited. A lot of our kids, this is going to be the first graduating class too, where we have like our Acellus students also getting CTE, what are those called? Stoles. So they're really excited to be able to have those. So far it's going really good and the kids are rocking them. So that's great. Next slide, please. So we kind of want to talk about enrollment at Vasquez over the years. So I started in fall 2021, because this is when I moved from High Desert over to Vasquez and started as a TOSA. So back then we were at 328. Over the years, we just keep climbing up, 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 up. And as of today, we have 421 kids. So we've grown almost 100 students over that time, which is amazing. And how that has to do with Acellus, or, our online program. Can you go to the next slide? Is we wanted to show this is the same, scale, just different colors. I'm going to go over each of these individually, but I want you to see just that about half of our school utilizes this program in one way or another over those 4 growth programs that we talked about. So back when in fall 2021 until fall 2023, it was me doing basically all of that, with a few other teachers to take on credit recovery or schedule conflicts. No, actually, they were just credit recovery because I did schedule conflicts. But this really just shows that it is a huge portion of our school, and all those little graphs at the bottom, we will have detailed specific slides on. So on the next slide, please.
The other thing to look at on that as well, though, is you can see there's kind of a correlation with the increase in enrollment with also the increase in the enrollment on Acellus. So those numbers are going up at the same time.
Yeah. So first, we're going to focus on the in-school portion because it's not as long within Acellus. It's a lot more simple than kind of the virtual aspect. So for Acellus, first, we're going to focus on what Mr. Gaforian specifically does on campus with our students through credit recovery and schedule conflicts. Next slide. So this kind of shows numbers over time. Do you want to talk about this at all?
Yeah, so the historical thing to keep in mind is the 21-22 school year is when we first returned to campus after COVID. So we had a significant increase in our students that had credit deficient issues because of coursework that they didn't pass during that time. You'll see that it tapers down a little bit. And then the 23-24, it spikes a little bit. That also, if you refer back, mirrors when our enrollment started to spike as well. So we had an increase in student enrollment. So obviously you're going to see an increase in those numbers as well.
Yeah. Next slide. And this just kind of breaks down, this is what we currently have at the moment with the number of students enrolled in credit recovery. So the gold is schedule conflicts. And the, I know it's probably really tiny on the phone, Brianna, so I'm just trying to walk you through that. But the black just shows the total number of students on a roster. So those are the number of students enrolled utilizing Acellus for credit recovery and schedule conflict. So this year, because we opened up more sections of classes like on campus, the number of schedule conflicts went down because more kids could be able to sit within a class. We didn't need it as much. And our credit recovery from last semester to this semester did go up a bit, but it just kind of breaks down those numbers so you understand how our students are utilizing Acellus.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Part of schedule conflict, isn't that also students who are taking classes we don't offer?
Yes.
Like some of those classes I noticed you have ASL, American Sign Language,
French,
you have some
German.
different-
Yes. So
AP
that's
drawing.
also part of that is
So
things
it's
that are not
just schedule
available.
conflicts, we're offering students above and beyond the curriculum that we have
Correct.
at our school site.
Exactly,
Correct.
including the CTE
I
pathways.
just wanted to.
Yes,
highlight
no, that's a
that.
good point. Thank you for reminding us.
Yeah, my bad.
That's ironic.
Yeah,
Yes.
exactly. So let's move on now. Next slide, please, to virtual and blended. So right now, this year in particular, it's exploded. I'm going to be talking about the numbers over the year, the history, when we brought on new staff, all that. But it's really exciting. So next slide, please. So right now, over the history of our virtual, we started with about a little, 45 students in both of them. And over the years, that has gone more and more up to the point where this year I have 108. Now, that is only a student enrolled. So out of 420 students, 108 of them are my students. And that means, a quarter of our school is utilizing Acellus for, this isn't even credit recovery. This isn't even schedule conflict. This is a virtual program. And compared to last year where we had 60 utilizing that, I mean, that's huge. That's a huge
What's the
jump.
difference, do you think? Just more kids are.
So
more
Acellus
kids are
was
doing-
new last year.
But I said there are more kids are doing blended. They're taking advantage of the.
Oh,
blended.
yeah, they
I
love the
can see
blended.
that by the
Yes,
graph.
so
Yep.
we have a lot of students that have, the words got out pretty much.
Yeah.
So we've had a significant increase from last year to this year, just in our enrollment alone. A lot of the community is now aware that we have Acellus and it works for their family, whether the students are involved in
So that
outside
increases our
activities.
enrollment.
Yes.
Yes,
Yeah.
that and within our own students really liking the program
Right.
and wanting to utilize it more.
Mhm.
Yes.
But I haven't noticed looking at the master schedule that our in-person and instruction classes have not gone down.
No,
Those
They
classes
have
are
not.
full.
Yes.
so if,
So
if for
That's what I mean,
example,
must
if
be
for
increased
some, if
enrollment.
for
Yeah.
some reason this went away, we would not have enough seats or rooms to
Oh, no, you-
accommodate.
Yeah.
Cause I
I
have
have-
hired teachers.
Yeah, for example, in blended in my 6th period, I have 71 students.
Mhm.
71, so we honestly don't even have space for those 71 to come back, like, we need the blended program. Because there is not 71 spaces for those students to
So
be able
it's
to
a,
sit
it's a
in.
mix of both. It's
Yes.
an increase in enrollment and also an increase in student interest in
Yes.
the opportunities that it, like
They can
you
get.
mentioned as well, the different courses that are available.
Yeah, it's really cool, it's awesome. Next slide, please. And once again, so there's a difference between students enrolled with me. I have 108 students, but that does not mean I just, if we're thinking a typical elementary mindset, if I were to have 108 students, that'd be 108 students, over 6 periods. But since we're talking high school, that means I have 331 students on my roster. So it's a lot. And we have amongst those 331 students, 374 courses being monitored for blended
Those are the
and
sections you're teaching.
yes,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not
That's
students,
gonna
within the
go up.
section.
Yeah.
That's gonna go up tomorrow.
Yeah, that's gonna go up tomorrow. 379. So, Yeah.
More since I just talked.
yeah,
about
yeah,
it.
yeah. So, it's really exciting stuff. And a lot to monitor, but it means our program's growing, the kids are loving it. I love it. Okay, next slide, please. This just kind of shows it all together of those. What's that called? Like the students scheduled across period numbers. So this is closer to what course enrollments are. I just didn't want it to be confused amongst like, okay, if we only have 420 students, that doesn't mean, according to this graph, it means every single student had a cell,
It
which
means
isn't
the
what I'm
sections
saying.
they're
The
taking.
sections they're
Each-
taking,
each
exactly.
student takes 5 sections or 5 different courses.
Yes.
So you're teaching upwards of 400 in courses
Mhm.
for a certain amount of students.
Exactly. And this line on the graph is important because there's a staffing difference back then.
Mhm.
So prior to that, I was pretty much doing all of that, minus credit recovery where we had those sprinkled in amongst a few
Yeah,
teachers.
Yeah.
Yeah, but when we started adding, we had a staffing loss that year, but once we started adding the staff
Want
back
me to tap in on
yes, please.
Okay,
It's a
so-
counseling one.
So those 2 years were post-COVID. Prior to COVID, we had a designated teacher that oversaw the credit recovery program. When we had a loss of enrollment returning back from COVID, there was positions that were not backfilled at that point in time because of our decrease in enrollment. So we were spot filling.
Yeah.
As our enrollment increased, we went back to best practice, and instead of it being sprinkled across different classes, it's one designated person that's overseeing it because that's where we see the most success with students
Mhm.
completing coursework and returning to credit status.
Yes. So that's the year that we hired Mr. Gaforian. So can you go to the next slide? Previously, these are my numbers, of course, all the years that I've been working. As you can tell, it has gone massively up, which is great. And this is before we were hiring Mr. Gaforian. So you could see, back in spring 2023, I had a certain amount of number and then it massively peaked that year. We grew massively within virtual and blended. So then we hired someone to be able to help me. And then once we hired him, can you go to the next slide? He took that credit recovery and schedule conflict portion that I was running, and he's now the teacher of those, and it gave me a little more leeway because, of course, I do run Virtual Academy, but as a TOSA, I do other things too. So it allowed me that time. Now, as we can see over the years, it just keeps growing, baby. It's really, really awesome. We're figuring it out. But yeah, after we hired Mr. Gaforian, luckily the program still continues to grow over time, and you can just see over the years. I mean, it just keeps getting bigger and bigger, which is just fantastic. Can you go to the next slide? And we're going to go over this for Mr. Gaforian too. So here's where he was when he first started. That was in fall 2023. That's where he took the credit recovery, schedule conflict, and then he also took some blended and virtual. At this point, we didn't separate it. We were just trying to make it even between us two. That way we could both, you know, work simultaneously, and, you know, we could teach him the job, and he's amazing, doing fantastic. And then in spring, we noticed an increase on his blended and virtual, and we went back to what Nicole was talking about with the best practices model of one person teaching credit recovery and schedule conflict, and one person doing virtual and blended, because our students on credit recovery, they may have multiple classes. You want to talk about that? Or
Yeah,
so
so
even though he has less students,
it's individualized by student credit status and what they need. So you may have, for example, 25 students in front of you in a classroom that you're monitoring, but each student is going to have a different number of courses. It may be 2 for one student, it may be 6 for another student, and you're monitoring each of those students' pacing and progress and their goals.
Yeah.
So just to clarify on the
Mhm.
slide, it says that Mr. Gaforian took Virtual Academy. It should say schedule conflict and credit recovery.
Oh, whoops. Yeah, it should.
You
Yeah,
read it.
sorry,
So
schedule
you-
conflict, and
Okay.
yeah, I'll change that
I
on the
caught that
slide.
earlier and
Thank you.
I wasn't sure if I was correct, so, and I'm
Schedule
sorry.
conflict, yeah, here we go.
I didn't.
Here, I
have-
can edit it on this
Okay.
spot,
Okay,
and
I just caught it, otherwise I didn't have time.
all
to pause. I'm
good.
sorry.
Credit recovery, boom.
Okay.
All right, it won't show on there, but maybe when you go back and
It's
go
okay.
forward,
once
yeah.
you start again.
And then next slide, please. So summer school, do you want to talk about this? Because you
Yeah,
ran
so
that.
last summer was our first summer utilizing Acellus for our summer school program, and it was very successful.
Mhm.
So as you can see, of the 140 students that attended summer school through us, 128 finished what their goals were as far as getting on track with their credits. We even had
Mhm.
students that finished early and asked for more. They were so excited about the program. They felt so confident about what they were doing that they also asked, can I start a CTE pathway? Can I take an additional course? And we had additional students who actually asked to retake coursework to make sure that they were A through G approved as well, which is our college admission requirements. So we've actually seen such a shift of less students that are credit deficient, and it's more students that are actually looking for post-secondary plans and CTE pathways. So we're even moving beyond that. They're doing more. And I think that's also attributed to our increase for this year, because so many students had their first taste of it last year during summer school.
Yeah, the kids hear about it and the parents see too, so they tell their friends.
Yeah.
That
Yep.
totally makes sense.
And then those 12, they were able to just continue those during credit recovery this year, so they didn't lose progress or anything. And then, yes, go ahead.
Sorry, is there a cap amount of credits that they're allowed to earn during summer school?
No, we don't cap it. What there is, limitations is there's that certain amount of time period to complete. And the way Acellus is compared to our previous programs students can test out and they can kind of get ahead, where this one, it has AI detection. You have to go through everything specifically, show mastery of knowledge.
3 steps per week.
If you go
Yes.
too fast, it times you out.
Yes.
And it will not let you get back on the system until you've had the right amount of time to actually do the reading and do the work associated with the assessments.
So it takes,
Oh, wow.
Do that too.
yeah.
Yeah, so they can't just speed through it.
Yeah.
They have to actually
Only
show
times
that
you've
they're
tried to,
processing.
'cause
Yeah.
I've had calls from parents asking me, and I'm like, yes, that.
I
is
can't
not the
do more than
program.
40. Yeah, I
Yeah.
can't do more than 3 steps
Right.
per week. And it's like, okay, it's because of retention into long-term
It wants you
memory.
to learn, like,
Yes,
Yeah, so that's kind of cool.
yeah.
And with those students, we just allowed them extensions. So
Yeah.
even though our summer school ended at that specific date with the 20 days, we provided them the opportunity. We didn't shut down their account. We said, hey, continue working. And then I just would email them weekly and just say, hey, just want to check in with you. You still need to be showing that you're making progress in order for me to keep your class open. And then we'll just award the credit when you finish in the fall.
Mhm. Yep. And next slide, please. And then we just kind of wanted to show difference between like one progress report using one program compared to Acela. So we took the data from the first progress report of fall 2023 when we used Apex. Notice we had 465 courses, and at that time we had, about a 76% passage rate and a 24% non-passing rate. This first progress report with Acela, we had way more courses. We have 671 courses and only 5.1% that had a no mark or not passing. And then let's see, it says about 95% with a passage rate. So far students are doing better. So that means we're getting more out of credit recovery and we're not having more flowing into credit recovery,
And
at least from our platform.
for those of you who aren't familiar with that, the way that Acela works is there's that built-in intervention piece where students, if they're showing gaps in any particular concept or area, it will actually assign them remedial information. Yes, they refer to it as vectored instruction. So that way they're not missing those gaps and it's not just trying to push them forward. It wants them to actually learn each of the standards and concepts.
Yeah. And then we were kind of meeting as a department to go over what we want as future plans with Acela. Can you go to the next slide? Sorry. And we definitely want to expand programs. So make sure that we're helping the needs, of our students who are English language learners and also our special ed population. So Acela, we did get a grant for $60,000, which was great to be able to have utilized an online way of assisting students with IEPs to make sure that their goals are being tracked within Acela using the AI. So we're in a beta test of that to see how it works. And so that's really cool. We're just testing that to see how it goes. We want to just utilize reports more to get more data tracking. We did a lot of data fun for this presentation, so that was really cool, but we're definitely want to dig in more. So there's another Acela conference in March where they're really going to be digging into how to utilize those reports for personalized learning. Professional development, they do provide that, cost covered through the, life or partnership we have with them.
Yeah, they pay the PD, we pay the air flight and the food. They actually, I should say the food because they feed you. I think we had dinner twice. Everything else was covered. And yeah,
They cover
they pay the
registration.
whole PD.
Yeah.
It's a pretty good PD.
Yeah, and then special lessons. So something that I think is important too is Acela is really good with the first 3 levels of Bloom's taxonomy. So when we're looking at how students are learning information, it does really good with recall, with basically the first 3 levels of learning, and then there's the top 3 levels where we get into more deeper understanding and deeper learning, application, and expanding upon their knowledge. So Acela by itself does auto-grade, do all that kind of stuff and covers those first 3 base levels. But the part where the teacher comes in handy is we utilize something called special lessons that are built in within Acela. And this is the deeper learning portion to take what the students have learned within, the AI system and apply it and, expand it with projects and writing and just different ways to explore their learning and apply their learning. And then, that's that interactive back and forth piece of Acela. So we definitely, this is expanding more and more with the special lessons. So something that we're taking advantage of to bring the person also back into Acela. That's something they're really big on. Is it's not just about utilizing Acela saying, okay, go ahead, you use the computer, use that all for learning. The personal input is also just as important. So that's what that special lessons portion refers to, which is a new offering that they're doing. All right, next slide. Any questions? That was a lot, sorry.
That was a lot, but so very thorough. I learned something new all the time. That's just incredible.
Yeah.
What an incredible program that you guys have brought to our students. And obviously it's making a huge difference. That's awesome.
Very exciting stuff. Yeah.
Great.
Super exciting. So thank you. That was a really thorough presentation, and I'm definitely looking forward to that at an open session board meeting. I think
Perfect,
this is stuff that needs to be shouted from the rooftops frequently. So
Yeah.
you guys are just fantastic. Our school is definitely blessed to have you all. So thank you very much.
I concur too.
Thanks.
Brianna.
Thank you.
Okay, next,
Um,
oh, sorry.
yeah, go for it.
Okay, next on our agenda is attendance recovery. So just as an update for attendance recovery, I'm working with our principals. There really were a lot of questions, so we pushed our the start date for attendance recovery. That's kind of like our Saturday school until our January date. Some of the things that we are looking at amending, instead of doing 2 sites, was doing 1 site and having 1 admin. And we the principals thought, and I concurred with them, that we would use Meadowlark. That way, our K-6 kids would have kind of more of a playground feature. And then so the K-6 would be in 1 classroom, and the 7 through, probably the library, and the 7 through 12 would be in the multi-purpose room and using the lunch tables. Food and would be served during Saturday school attendance recovery, as well as having a custodian on site to open school, close the school, and clean the school. So originally we had talked about doing 2 sites, but we were concerned, with only 2 pulling our admins for Saturday, so they really wanted to do 1. And I know in the beginning, I've done Saturday school before. This program's a little different, but it still requires kids to be there on a Saturday. Always get a lot of kids, and in the beginning, we probably won't get as many. So we thought we'd start with 1, and then as it grows, we'll make adjustments as we need to. Any questions on the attendance recovery update?
That's fantastic. I'm excited to hear how that first session goes and how students are utilizing it.
Yeah, us too. Okay, and then the next on the agenda is the instructional continuity plan update. We were working on in the event that one of the schools would need to close, like what happened at Vasquez last year with the electricity being off. So the plan that we came up with in meeting with the principals was, if VHS was to close, the kids would go over to High Desert School. They would utilize the library as the first choice, and the NPR if we had more students. But we felt like the library, based on the number of students, would probably hold them, but we kind of wanted to back up. The kids from High Desert School would go over to Vasquez High School, and again, the same thing. The library would be the first resource to use as a space, the gym if needed, but the library over there is pretty big, and it's set up with tables and things. Again, Meadowlark students would come over to the Little Owls Learning Center. The H building is going to be used this week for the awards assembly, but there is other things being done to update that building, but it's a pretty big building inside, and there should be lunch tables. Or we would also have the boardroom available here if necessary. Again, if it's only a few kids, we would probably want to keep them, in the boardroom, just because they're close. There's more people here. And then if it was Little Owls Learning Center that closed or was closed, we would move them over to Meadowlark, and they could access the library, or if necessary, the NPR.
And this is talking just am I on? Yeah. This is talking like not mandatory. If it's closed, students can stay home and do work online if they
Yes.
choose. This is for the students that I really can't be home. My
Yes.
power's also off at home. I want to come to school, get my work done, use the internet at school. I want to get lunch at school, that kind of thing. So
Yes.
we're not saying all students.
No, it would be for the students that, for those reasons, or some students, they just don't have access to internet where they live.
Yeah. And
And for
how
some students that it's better, the isolation wasn't good for students, so for some students,
Yeah.
having them be around others and peers, it is, beneficial.
Yeah. How is this being communicated? Is there a plan to communicate this to families?
Yeah, so the first step is to get it incorporated into the instructional, the continuity plan. So I need to update the plan. And then the next step is we're updating all of the safety plans. This is a part of the safety plans. There's some new requirements for the safety plans as well, which we'll be presenting to the board. I think in February they get approved. Part of that whole piece is me working with principals to update them updating staff. And then from those meetings with principals, we'll be pushing out information to update our community through the weekly messages that go out from our sites. And then this will be incorporated into the site, like safety plans that, you know, each year, not that everybody reads them, but they are available and made available. But we do when we add new language that has to do with families, we usually advertise it in the weekly flyers. Like, for example, I want to say it was 2 years ago. One of the things that got added to the safety plans that districts were required to was to notify parents of the import of gun safety and how to lock up their guns if they had any kind of weapon. So the law said now the district has to notify parents about what gun safety is. So we put that in the weekly flyers that went out that, hey, this is being added to the safety plan. Please be aware, these are ways for you to keep your kids safe. And so, you know, it just kind of highlights that. So there will be some new, because there is some new language that's new this year that has to do with our safety plans and even with training sites. So, I mean, it's very new. Like I have an email like, okay, and I need to share it with the principals, and then we have to decide how we're going to disseminate that to our staff. And then again, from there, it also will go out to the community.
But if you were to tell me, hey, we have new language in our safety plan, I'd be like, cool.
No, we
But
say
if you
what
tell
it
me
is,
like,
though.
hey, if the power goes out, here's our plan, that sparks a
Yes.
different.
We'll do a little flyer probably about what the instructional continuity plan is, and in the event that we have some kind of natural disaster and schools close, that we have a plan for online instruction that also includes instruction on campuses if any campuses are open. Like once it all kind of is together,
Yeah.
I'll do
Perfect.
something like, just so families know that we have, and also part of that would be communicating with our community, how we will communicate with them in the event of an emergency. Cause it's in the plan, like it says specifically how we will and what the timeline is. That will be shared with parents too.
Yeah, that's important. That's awesome.
Heads up. Yeah. Hopefully we won't have to
I know
institute.
thinking of all the what ifs is a lot. So thank you for putting all that together. I think that will ease a lot of families going into, the windy season.
Fire season, yep,
Fire season, wind season, power shut off season.
Storm season, flood season.
Yeah.
Even right now. But that's it for our agenda today. Do we have any future agenda items that we would like to add for our next meeting?
I think we should probably think on that unless anybody has suggestions, because I don't yet.
I'd like to do just a mini dashboard update for the community.
Yeah,
Not a
let's
board
do it.
presentation at this point. We just got the dashboard data.
Yeah,
There's a lot of really cool information that I would like to share with the community through this venue.
yeah, let's do that.
Okay,
Thank you.
of course. It's my pleasure.
All right.
So that's it for me. One more thing though. George is now working every Tuesday during our meeting. So I would like to suggest that we move
Oh, no.
to the hour before the policy meeting meets. So we can do education meeting for an hour, and then he can pop into the policy and finance meeting. Does that work for you?
Yeah, does the policy and finance goes at 5 o'clock, right? Or do they go at 4? Okay, I'm gonna look. Do you want us to take the hour before them?
Yes. So give
Okay,
us a good hour and then they can start. And then I think we roll into a board meeting.
Okay, I will look. That meeting is already scheduled because we just had that meeting and I made sure that the next one was on my calendar. I will look and I'll probably just email you and say, this is when the next meeting is. It'll be at 3 o'clock.
Perfect.
Then I'll update the agenda. I'll let the cabinet and everybody know. And then we'll get our agenda for our next meeting posted.
Beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You guys are awesome. I really appreciate you. So we'll go ahead and close this meeting at 3:40.
Awesome. Perfect. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you guys. Have a great day.
Bye. You
Thank
too.
you,
Bye.
Brianna.